sure. Okay. Okay. It says recording. I think we're recording. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm V. This is Lisa. So this is my most awesomest friend, Lisa. We are gonna. Well, first off, I'll just say we both spent years selling together, running a whole nonprofit slash social movement slash commune, and we were the two that were pretty much the end of the line as far as responsibility for the most part, as far as bringing in the income for the place, and helped to organize and lead everything in the efforts of sustaining our whole foundation and all the stuff that we did. So we spent just years in the trenches, working together side by side, and selling our asses off. And I have entered this online space with my work and sort of a calling I have, and have I guess bumped up against all the marketing and selling tactics I see here online. And Lisa and I were just talking the other day, or actually earlier. She is also wanting, and I've been encouraging her. She's a brilliant writer, just a brilliant human being, and so many talents. And I keep encouraging her to write, and she wants to start a blog. And so we're talking about just how you do that, and the whole online space and the whole marketing thing of it. And I have had all these things that I've wanted to talk to her about and sort of brainstorm about, because so many of the marketing tactics I see directly rub up against what we did when we sold in a way that just doesn't align for me. And I've had to struggle and figure out, like, how am I going to make a living here in this venue if I just follow what's being told of me? It doesn't feel right, and I just get nowhere. So I've been wading through all that, and I've been dying to have some conversations with her. And she still sells today. She works for a hotel, doing hotel sales, as well as a bunch of other things I know that you do. I don't know all the specifics of them, but she is amazing, incredible. I can tell you, wherever she goes, she's I think she's like top seller, performer. I know that. So anyhow, we're gonna have a discussion here. I'm gonna bring up, I'm having a discussion with her live, the discussion I just wanted to have on the phone, because I think it'd be interesting for everyone to follow along. So this is Lisa, and yeah. So
can I say a couple things just in response?
You should
for my general field beyond specifics is sales and marketing. And I would also say one of the things that came up for me when you were sort of doing that intro is that many people feel, if you follow blogs, podcasts, that it's late to enter into the blog and podcasting world. There was a time where it was a very new frontier, and now you're inundated with many voices. However, I think if you're coming from the standpoint of just showing up and being heard, that now is as good as any time. And so that's one of the things we may circuitously get to, is that there's lots of reasons not to start a new endeavor, but you always have to start somewhere. So I just wanted to make that comment, because I know that's one of the reasons I've used in the past to not share my work and not show up is, oh, it's too late. Well, it's too late for everything always in one sense, but It's never too late to share your voice and have something to say that's uniquely you. So.
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of people feel that.
Yeah.
And okay, so we are going to break this up, because Kyle and I could talk for a long time, like 4 hours on this, or 4 days maybe. So I'm going to break this up into a little series, and we may even do it all right now. I'm going to break it up so you can watch it at your pace. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, now, Kyla, like anybody, Kyla, I'm calling her Kyla. Lisa goes by Kyla as well. we where we lived, some how do we explain this? You go, yeah, Kyla.
Oh, well, that's a whole other topic of discussion for another time, but we were part of a movement for each of us for over 15 years. And one of the kind of protocols was you adopted a name that you felt better represented you perhaps than your given name. And in my case, in 1971, there were a lot of Lisas. And so I found out later after choosing, I chose the name Kyla, that in Japanese, it means to have just opened. V has stayed with her name. I think it's interesting, going back into corporate America and back into an area where my family lives, it's been easier to just go by Lisa, but there's still people that definitely call me Kyla. So if we go back and forth, sorry.
Yeah. Now you guys know the whole history, and yes, so I may go back and forth. Okay, so I wanted to bring up, I guess, some of the processes that I see marketing funnels put people through. And the first thing I wanted to ask, so I'm just asking you, so one of the first things that people ask you, so you get a website and how you're going to like funnel people through it, and that's what they call it, funneling people through it, and it's all about getting to like the sales point generally when you're talking in that way, is to create what they call a freebie. And that is, and I know you see this, so you go to a website, you like it, and right away, sometimes it pops up, and that's a pop-up right in front of you, like an offer for something free that should be enticing, and that's like getting your email, so also called an ethical bribe. So you're trading your email for this thing. Now, there's nothing necessarily inherently wrong or right about that at all, and I don't feel that way either. So this is, just so people know, an exploration. And it also just see where things are headed or what's underlying them. And, but this is a tactic also that's being taught. And it's just pretty much everybody who comes online is shown at first this formula, and that's it. And it's like pretty hardcore if you want to get people on your list. And there are some people, I see them, and it's amazing, and the more I find them, it's great, that are doing things outside of this normal structure, but you gotta get past this initial bubble to even find them. That is the structure, and most of like the big online people follow it, as well as everybody else. So I was just curious, I guess.
I have some definite thoughts right away, actually.
Yeah. I was curious.
Well,
what are your thoughts? And I'll ask some more questions.
My thoughts are largely from the consuming side. Someone says something that resonates with you, right? It's about health or selling or whatever it is that you're interested in. You're online. We're able to access content now more than at any time in history. And so there's it's a fine line, and it's bad and good. But for me as a consumer, what happens to me is I will take the bait and sign up. And what I inevitably find is, because this is the free teaser for the content that they want to sell, inevitably I get impatient with the teaser, and I end up stopping. Like, it'll be spread out over 5 weeks. I'm going to send you a snippet. But it's so unusable for me as a producer or someone who wants to put that content into action, that inevitably I then now have my inbox that's full of emails that I don't listen to anymore. And so I think there's a way that, because you shift your intention away from your true mission, which is to actually educate or have something to say or give people tools to use in their life, that you're actually, it becomes the mechanism. So these freebies don't really deliver. And in the end, all you're doing, you got your email, but it's sort of an empty promise in a way. And I know that it's not intended that way, but that's how it ends up being on this side. And so there's got to be, and maybe we don't need to answer it, but I feel like what is another way to, can you just say, like, I need your email? Or let's unpack that I need to get your mailing list thing a little bit more, maybe.
Right. Like, what's a true way? Because you do want it, but you're trying to build a relationship and find out if there's a fit. Can you offer something of value to this what's the exchange that's going to go down? Yeah. How do you, I mean, the whole thing online is the concept that, people throw out statistics. If you don't get people in the first 2 seconds, then they're out of there and you'll never see them again. And, it creates this mania that often gets people to like jump on this kind of stuff. But one thing that's interesting where you're saying that you get impatient and you don't really get the thing, there is also a formula being taught to sort of, drip information out. That is being taught literally. Don't give away, don't give away the whole, there's a phrase for it, but I can't think of it, basically a whole.
Give the baby with the bathwater.
That's the one. That's what I wanted to say.
The baby, but it's not give the baby with the bathwater.
I was going to say something about a horse and water. Oh,
you can feed a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. I don't think that's either.
That's totally different. But so I knew that was wrong.
Okay, anyway, so yes, but okay, agreed.
But that is
obvious. Every consumer knows that.
Don't really give what you have. It's meant to tease, but you're selling it like you're giving it. Like, hey, find out, but it is actually structure. There's a hold back to the structure. Now, is everybody doing that exactly that way? No, and there's differences and all that stuff, but that is predominantly how the online marketing space is teaching us. And I don't care if it's titled heart-centered or not. That's the one that I particularly kind of walked through and was like, whoa, a lot of the practices, like, this isn't very heart-centered. Again, not everybody who calls, I'm not labeling everyone this way, but that's what's being taught. So the other question I have is, or part of that conversation, I'm looking at my notes, is like just even using the word free to sell, right? Like, we didn't, when we were selling, I'm just thinking back, like, if you actually didn't want, people were like, oh, it's free, and we would sell stuff on the streets to people a lot, and people would try to grab stuff out of your hands and think it was free, and we had to make it very clear and adamant that it wasn't. Now, once in a while, did we sell it free? We would say it up front. We sell this. We were very clear about it because it right away, it was honest, and it set up the interaction to, if somebody hung around, then you're not wasting your time. It could potentially go there. You have an agreement up front if they stick around, and we put energy into it. We needed some sort of exchange for it. Did we ever let one go for free? If someone convinced us on the other end to let it go, yes, but mostly we got the money that we asked for from it. And pitching it up front. We used to start out, remember, we would we would work with people and teach people, because people would go into their rap about what they have and sort of show people the thing, and people would get turned off midway when you asked for money, because it had this feeling like maybe you were giving it away and you weren't. So, you know what I mean? So selling, to me, with the word free, you know what I mean? You're using it to sell, but it's like a lie, because you're selling. You're not. You're in a sales funnel already. You are in the selling process. It's not free. You don't have to pitch it as free. You can just, if you want to give. But why are we everywhere? It's highlighted, big capital letters, free, free, free.
Sorry, hold on. My 5-year-old it popped in the room. Baby, can you close the door? Thanks. Sorry. So can I answer, or are you?
Yes.
Is that? A few things. I agree, actually. I think that, so in the cause and effect universe, right, the truth is it isn't free. It's a hook, to get people into your sphere so that you can sell them your content. So I don't see anything wrong with, there's a Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of his tenets is begin with the end in mind. And it sort of brought that to the surface for me is, I guess, why can't you say, this isn't free. I want to sell you my content. There's got to be an artful way to say, listen, this is my product. Maybe you can skip that, because think about the time that we're wasting too in that whole teasing process, right? Well, all you really want to do is deliver and teach, and all I really want to do is learn and enact, right, as a consumer.
Yeah.
So why are we wasting the time? That's in essence, and you know what? I know it's not free. So we're agreeing to go through this dance that is wasting our time essentially, but it somehow says like we can't be honest with each other. So it's reinforcing a culture that goes back to the documentary we were talking about, The Century of the Self, and Edward Bernays, who was the Freud's nephew, who was considered the father of modern marketing. And the idea was all about trickery. If you take what people need in their souls and hearts and you redirect it towards products, you can control people. The beginning of mass consumerism, it's all along with the premise that you can't trust people to be themselves and interact directly. It's all about manipulation. And I think that if we're ever going to get out of this consuming culture that is so sick in so many ways, we still have money, we still need to make a living. What is the paradigm then? Because I think even just talking about it, that it's basically an agreement to be dishonest with each other, right?
Yeah. And how where are you going to go with somebody once you enter a relationship on that basis, you know? So like, this is your entering of it's the most important part, is the where you enter a relationship with somebody. So starting out on that foot is doesn't seem healthy, and it doesn't seem like you really end up getting what you want out of it. And I hope anybody listening to this is a discussion, an exploration. We have a lot of experience in selling very effectively that doesn't use that kind of tactic. And so I have fighting.
Can I interrupt just 1 second?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that our experience is not infected by those things. I would say that we have spent a long time, you and I, learning how to sell in the most genuine and personal way possible. That doesn't mean that there still isn't making a sense of urgency happen or tools. We are from our culture. So I would just caution to say that we're not using those techniques. And I think it's so fair to have this conversation from a personal interest to do it different. And no, everybody's going to have a reaction when you put your opinion on public, and people are going to be upset, and that's fine. We're not going to make everybody happy, but we can also respond and say, oh, great point, didn't mean that, and clarify. So I don't think so much it needs to be, this is 100% not an indictment of other people's choices.
Yeah.
This is a personal exploration.
And it's an exploration for me, because I wasn't saying that our history, because like I just sell perfectly. No, I feel like we just have a lot of experience selling in all ways. Like I've used personally, and I talk about this, every manipulative tactic there is. I mean, in a certain way, like in your moments, but the goal has always been, how do I live like from my highest place here? So like, and like learning a lot because of, doing it so much, that you got to see where it actually really worked in a whole like hearted way for yourself, where you actually made
it's a process of long years and
that's what I want to share.
Application. So the street for us, we did, which I don't, if anyone coming in this may know, that we as part of the movement that we were in, we put out an underground arts magazine. We sold on the street. That's something that Dee addresses in a lot of different ways on her website. But so that's a great crucible for figuring out how to connect with people and make money, and what does it take, because to get someone to stop and listen to you on the street and not be going from a script and to be automatically written off, that's part of a skill that I think is different, is right from the beginning, I'm going to be real with you, and that's automatically going to demarcate me from 99% of other people who are trying to sell you stuff. Yeah,
it's getting real right away. And I think that can be done online if you just, put out like why you're there, who you are, what you're offering, who do you want to connect with, like be straight about what you want. Oh, I want to sell you this thing. It's awesome. I
And
want
even
to work.
why. Yeah.
And why? Like I need to eat to do this.
I
But
just
it's
bought my house.
Yeah.
I want to support my kid. I want to live in a non-traditional way. I want the freedom to do X, Y, Z. I think those are all things that people can relate to. And wow, how awesome to not have to go down the daisy path of the free 7-part non-substantial email series. I mean,
right. And it all has this feeling like it's gonna, like this secret that you're gonna find out, right? It's all, and it's like, I always get through it. It's sort of like a letdown. Like, did I?
It's kind of like really bad sex. No. This is going to be great, baby. This is going to be great. It was like, no, you have to pay me if you want the really good sex.
Yeah, there you go. Breaking it down, putting it
Sorry.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Anyway.
Kyle and I, Lisa and I, we had a lot of fun. When we sold. That's also a big component to all of this stuff, is having some fun.
Well, we lived together on a practical level. We lived together for 15 years. And again, back to this Zendik farm is what it was called, which you may or may not know of. And so we lived together, sometimes 40 people, sometimes 100 people. We worked together. We did everything together. And that's a great way, and a really torturous way sometimes, to work out a relationship. And I think because V and I are similar in age and in drive, we butted heads against each other often. But when you kind of fight through every sort of situation, it's like being married to a multiple amount of people. It does get to the point of where you've crossed a lot of boundaries, and being able to say how you feel and be who you really are. So. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I've been waiting for this moment that we could sit here and talk to each other about this stuff. And I finally got the call.
I've been in hiding, okay, dealing with attachment disorder and like therapy and trauma and all kinds of stuff. But
yeah, and then I got my free pop-up, and and then you're like, okay, maybe that's the answer. And so that's what we're all doing here.
Okay, next question. Okay,
so just wanted we unpack that a little bit. Let's see, how much time have we gone in here? Does it say?
I'm not timing it. I don't have a.
You can't see it. Well, that's okay. I thought I had a time thing on here, but I guess maybe we could look at one more thing and then we'll break it up. Okay, so, well, I mean, an extension of that is the webinar, that's also, I'll just add that on because it's actually an extension of this. And I don't know, you've been through this funnel, so maybe you don't know this whole part of it, but the next extension of that is to get you to a webinar. Well, okay, once somebody starts selling something, they get you through a series of their copy, and there's a whole structure and order to it generally. And then that brings you often to a webinar, which is what they call, actually how it goes is one of those free opt-ins is a free webinar, usually free again. And it's like hour long sometimes, but it's kind of like an hour long of the
commercial
content. Yeah, the bad sex again. It's like, where
really then bad foreplay.
And and then they sell you again at the end of it, but it's not. There are people breaking these rules, but for the most part, the structure is, at the end of it, you make your sales pitch. But the whole thing doesn't start out like, I just want to be like, here's my sales pitch. Like, that's how I'm going to do it. When I get selling something online, because it's like, just want to say, it's like so refreshing, just I think, for people to hear that. Like, it's just constantly free webinar. You go through it. Everybody knows. So you do it in your head, the whole thing. And at the end, you're being sold to. But I guess we just broke all that down. But you know.
Yeah, well, I actually had an interesting idea when you're talking about how can you do it different. I mean, I think that there's a way that it seems taboo to let the public at large in on the mechanism, on this mechanism, right? Because so many people protect it to sell their stuff. However, I think when you're coming from a good place and you want, I think it's fair to educate people and let them know also how
Yeah.
are you being driven to buy, right? There's so much behind it that's crazy that unless you're a marketing, like addicted to studying the mechanism of it, you don't know. But I think it's even fair to say, like, listen, you know, this is who I am. Normally, this is the process I would take you through. Just so you know, this. I don't want to do that. This is why I need to make a living. This is where I am. This is what I have to say. But you can run that down to people, I think, and that's a good service too. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems scary to me. I can feel that it's like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to get mad, you know, if you tell the secret. But
Right.
but it's the same way that
I don't think
everybody registers what's being done anyway. It's just they may not know the mechanic of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think people definitely register it, and some people over time start to get hip to it. You know, there's people I talk to about this. There are people that a lot of people are becoming hip. It's becoming tiring because it's wearing out its welcome. You know, I think it's going to start imploding on itself a little bit at some point because people get tired. They get, you know, enough BS. They get, you know, people aren't stupid. So if you keep treating them like that, eventually it's like, you know, you rebel. It's like, come on. But it goes both ways, you know. We have to not buy into it, and we have to learn how to not sell that way. And it's a process, and it's like, well, how do we do it? Because we do need to make a living, and I'm trying to figure that out. But I do think, you know, that you can just, be upfront about it, because it's not a bad idea. So if you are going to sell something, to have, like an intro call or intro thing where you're going to educate people, question and answer or whatever. You want forums to be able to share who you are, what, in ways that don't cost things. Yes.
Agreed.
That gives people away. So the whole basis of it isn't terrible. It's just the part where you're bullshitting. That's the part. Like, you can do all that with a straightforwardness, which honestly, it just makes it more vulnerable on your end too, of, it's more become something where you're asking directly of people. And I think that's why these techniques get used, is because, it's really hard on the end of a seller, of someone offering something. It's two ways. You're offering and you're asking. You're offering to this thing that you want to do, and you have to garner people's trust of you to let you do this work with them or for them or whatever. And then you're asking for support for that. You're asking for money, for their time, it's vulnerable. It's two ways all the way around. So those are just covers on, both sides to get from us getting in it together and actually figuring out how to engage and connect. And that's like the deepest problem in our culture. And that's the scarcity, right? Everyone's using scarcity to sell all this. It's that people are dying to connect with each other in a real way. So
yeah.
So do we want to
one more?
Huh?
One more.
Okay. Affiliate marketing. Bam. So Kyla, Lisa brought this up earlier.
Right. I'll tell this little part. It was interesting. It was really, I said something, we were brainstorming about V's website and setting up a website for me. And I said the word affiliate, and she's like, no, I don't think you understand what affiliate means. It's actually a formalized relationship. I kind of thought it was just, and people may laugh at me for being naive, but I thought it was just like, oh, I'm going to have all the people I like on my website. These are the people I connect to. But anyway, that's the intro into this discussion.
Yeah. She was like, well, that's what you do. You start do affiliates with people. And I'm like, okay. So I explained it, that it's really, to be an affiliate is, to have an exchange of money with somebody. It's you're basically promoting somebody else or a product. It's also products. So like, you see this, like, say, on food websites. So somebody uses the spiralizer and this whatever, Cuisinart, and if you link it in your thing, you get a percentage, because they buy through that link. So that's also being an affiliate with a company. This Zoom program I'm using, I could be an affiliate for them and sell it. The general concept isn't so terrible. It's like I use it, it works for me, so I get a little kickback, right? And that helps.
Yeah.
So it's and then in some of these big, there's a whole era. I'm using words all wrong. Genre of online sales that's like group coaching. So there's a huge amount of like $1,000, $2,000. Goes up in price for $500, group coaching. That's often like a video series format, 8 weeks or 4 months, and it's, you meet on meetings anyway. So they're sold when people are affiliates with each other for that, and you sell it, you usually get half the cost. I mean, it's different between each relationship. So, a lot of these programs are $2,000. If I'm an affiliate, I get $1,000 every time somebody buys through my link. Like right now, there's a huge launch happening, and it's Marie Forleo's B School. It's one of the main business programs people enter to get in this online space for, like, healers, coaches, artists, alternative people. And I like Marie. Like, I watch her stuff, and she's a Jersey girl. She's this is one of the first people that I started watching, and I couldn't quite get to the end of the sales funnel to buy, and then I kept feeling bad about myself. There was something about it, and it, was my first dealings with. And again, I like Marie, but so there's tons of people that have gone through a program, and a bunch of them have become very big online, and they all are affiliate marketers for her. And so I see it everywhere. Like everywhere you go now, if you're in a certain circle and get marketed to by these kinds of people, there's gobs of people selling her program right now because her program's open, and then they're offering all these bonuses that they offer to get you in under them.
Right. Okay.
So that's
is there a specific thought?
Well, I'm just
about them, or do you want to just talk about it?
Like, I just want to, I don't think, like, up front, it's not the concept that you used something and like it yourself and want to promote it is not bad. And logically, my brain goes like, okay, well, what's so wrong with that? Because I've tried to convince myself to be able to, honestly, if I were willing to do that myself, I feel like I could make some pretty good money pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of people do get into making money very quickly that way. But here's what happened to me when I had an experience with it is, I'm part of a video community. You experience some of that. I love the woman who runs it. I've gotten so much out of it. I went through a challenge with it. Some of you guys watching this know exactly who I'm talking about and have gotten so much value out of this woman and her program. And I then signed up to be like a leader in her challenge, to run people through it. And after because I wanted to, because I felt genuine, like, great, this is great. And then I got, told that I could be an affiliate. So anyone who comes to the challenge under my name, I get a little kickback. I get $10, if they end up, which is not much. But I ended up, like, there's friends, I had a bunch of people that I got to sign in because of my own excitement. It's why I'm doing this video here. It got me to, like, remember myself and what love I have, like, talking to people and doing on camera and all that stuff. So I ended up having a much harder time selling the program with that in the way, because it was like, I naturally wanted to sell people. I could have gotten, I think, a few more people in it if that wasn't in my way, because it was just kind of awkward for me personally. And I don't know if that's just, like, I kind of found myself like, do I say I get a $10 cake? It's like ridiculous, but it just made it a little bit annoying, where I feel like it stops my natural flow of wanting to share what I love.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I don't know if that's that may not.
I don't think there's a right answer. I think that some people are really structured. They may want this structure to operate in. There's a different segment of people that probably don't. And I think, again, there's something that, I'm going to say the wrong term, but I love Seth Godin. He's a very morally sound person, and he does marketing. And, like, he talks a lot about the long game, and he calls it something else. But I think that, you may not have needed that experience to decide that route is not for you. And that when you're tethered by selling another person's product, if you think about it as just like bandwidth, how much bandwidth can you allocate to 37 affiliates? And then it's also, do you have to stay true to their message and their branding? And so I think for me, that would be the difficulty, is then this alignment. Also, there's just a way that person to person connection wise, if I know that I am going to feel a little guilty on some level, being the person I am and being the person you are, I think that I'm selling you something. And people disclose that in their blogs, like beware affiliate links in here. How can you say, though, that your delivery and your message aren't gearing towards then selling something, which then means the money is the focus? So when we're talking about affiliate links or teaser emails, the focus, the truth of that message is selling. That's where I'm aiming with that trajectory. It isn't to deliver my message to you. It is, but I think there's a way they can't share space almost, or you have to be okay that they're sharing space because your belief is that, this is what you do to make money in this kind of world, in this kind of economy. I think that it's hard to then probably move forward creatively. And every person that I've sort of listened to, or read about that is really a super kind of creative person, ultimately they end up going their own way, but within parameters that people can understand, and being really choosy about delivery and affiliates and all those things. I don't think there is an easy answer. I think that it's like something that everybody has to navigate, but it's a good question to ask. How much is my message being influenced by what else I'm trying to co-sell, and how much bandwidth does that take to really, can I do my job well if that is what is in my consciousness?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's something for me, that it does take my bandwidth, takes me off my own focus, which provides me with a lot of fuel and energy. So then I can feel it when it goes off. And that's what happens when I feel like I have to manage all those things. It kind of sucks it dry a little. It makes me, it sucks my energy.
It focuses on the periphery, like a balance beam, right?
Yeah.
If you're tethered to all those things, like, where's your center? It's still you, but it's like you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, which then again, on the other side, you're then receiving the benefit of those connections as well. And so then it's a question of, are you cutting out community? But I would argue that when it comes down to profit as the motive, I'm not sure that keeps the same place. I don't know. That's the question we're asking, is building community and profit, where do they go together?
Right. I mean, when I think about it, like how I'd like to operate, and I obviously, people often need more structure than this, but it's like, if I want to promote something somebody else is doing, I just want to do it because I feel to. And I feel like that gives to me, it gives to the other person. If, there's other ways of having exchanges that are equitable, that don't just involve the money part, that there's things that we get from that.
It's an open question. I think that's a hard one, because you want to be connected to other creators. I want to be connected to other creators. I want to support their work. I do want to link to people that is an expression of my belief system, is all the people that I read and follow and all the products that I love. I think it's a really big question, is how do you support an entrepreneurial network in a different kind of way? What does that look like? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a question, because I also do too. I want to absolutely be connected with other people, for sure. So yeah, it's a question, because you can feel kind of isolated if you're not gonna play that particular thing, and then it opts you out from one income stream per se. So it's like, do you shoot yourself in the foot? But at this point, I'm just following. I just know there has to be another way, because it just doesn't, for me, resonate, and it doesn't follow. It makes me have to sell in a way that
Yeah.
that I have that is shown to not prove to work out, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because have I gone that way? Yes. Like, like, oh great, that's the things that I followed that way, yeah, they haven't worked for me. So I just
Yeah.
have to trust that. I was just curious what you thought.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there that do it. I'm not, again, the person I followed. I was selling. I'm still part of her community. I love it. I don't look at her and go, oh, you're doing it wrong or anything. I just trying to figure out, yeah, how do I do it, and just to unpack it a little bit. Because it's important, I think, to look under the layer of all of these things. I think it's super important. So yeah. So that we might just wrap it up with that, and then come back. I have more questions, but just to make this not so lengthy, and people can digest it as they feel.
We're not very good at being brief, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, we'll get better, I think, too, about sort of boiling it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, we're just getting rolling.
Long format.
Yeah. So yeah, so this is awesome conversations I wanted to have with you for a long time, and I hope it's, I would love if people have insights into these things, things you think, or how you can be like, hell, that stuff works for me. This works in this way.
Yeah.
I feel with it. I'd love to hear, any of it, any and all of it. How you feel, how this works, how this doesn't work. I'm genuinely curious, and don't feel like there's a right or wrong answer. But all I know is that we have to bring it out on the table and talk about it in an open way. That's all I want, and I'm encouraging. So we're gonna have more videos that just go into other aspects of the whole, like, marketing online arena. So thank you. Thanks for doing this with me. And
thank you. It's fun. It's good to think out loud, I think, and expose these questions to the light of day, because they're definitely, it's the art of selling, really, and the art of life, or the art of anything, is refining your process all the time to be more true to yourself, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amen, sister.
Amen, sister. Okay.
All right, we're signing out.
All right.
See you on the next video.
Ciao.